We have been drafting the best Ohio State players over the past 20 years. Quarterbacks are done. Running backs are done. Today, it's all about the wide receivers. And trust me, when you think about the success Ohio State has had over the past 20 years, this unit, the wide receiver unit, might be one of the most successful groups Ohio State has had. You don't want to miss this fun episode right here on Locked On Buckeyes.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes, part of Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Friday, July 22nd in the year 2022, and today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. We had Jeff Hunt on for the quarterback draft, Mo Murphy last week for the running backs, and today it's my good buddy, Cory Thompson from the Scarlet and Gray Empire on the YouTube. Cory, welcome back. I think it's been quite a long time since you've been back here on Locked On Buckeyes.
Been a little bit, but you came on my show for about 3 shows. I got a couple more coming out here soon. It's been a blast, man.
It's been a blast, and it's fun talking Buckeyes. The football season's right around the corner. Big Ten Media Days is coming up literally next week. And we're discussing, and kind of just a celebration of the past 20 years at Ohio State, kind of a celebration of the success the Buckeyes have had at all positions, winning multiple conference championships, multiple national championships, things of that nature. But when I look at this unit, we've done quarterbacks and running backs in this draft already. But when I look at this unit, this receiver group at Ohio State, or just over the past 20 years, this stands out as being possibly one of the most successful units, position groups Ohio State has had during this span. This dates back to the 2002 season.
Yeah, it's actually kind of shocking. I mean, I know we're doing a draft here, and you said 2002 season. I remember talking to you off air. You're like, man, I can't get Terry Glenn now. That stinks. But hey, play by your rules, brother. I appreciate it. But yeah, actually, it's nobody really. I think the Buckeye fans talk about it, but outside of Ohio State, nobody really recognizes Ohio State's had like really a lot of just great wide receivers who have done well in the NFL, for that matter.
They have. And people may be saying, Jay, why are you going back to 2002? Ohio State, if you want to get a true draft, go back to the beginning of time. Well, this is also coupled with celebrating Ohio State's 2002 national championship winning season. And so that's the reason why we're doing 20 years. Jim Tressel started something special during that year. And really, Jim Tressel, Ryan Day, Urban Meyer, everybody has had success and built off said success that Jim Tressel started back in the early 2000s. But if you look at that year, look at a guy like Michael Jenkins, I'm sure will come up in this draft. Keep going to a guy like Santonio Holmes, who is one of my guys that I love, doesn't get talked about a lot. But you look at now, more recently, guys like KJ Hill, Paris Campbell, Michael Thomas, Curtis Samuel, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, maybe even Jackson Smith and Jigba. Those are just a few guys. There are a lot of other guys that have played at Ohio State that have played very, very well. This unit is really talented. And even some guys that won't get drafted were even NFL players. And we talked about one, the wide receiver coach at Ohio State, that had probably a lengthier career in the NFL than people may have thought he was going to. That just goes to show, man, like once you're a receiver at Ohio State, your chances at playing at the next level are really, really good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have a Super Bowl MVP in Santonio Holmes. Look, we've had a lot of success. I mean, those three receivers on that Tressel team from 04 to 06, Holmes, Gonzalez, and Ginn all went first round. And to be honest with you, I mean, I always liked Gonzalez. And when he got picked by teams, it actually made a lot of sense for them as well. And honestly, Ted Ginn, with a guy who you could consider quote unquote a bust for the Dolphins, had a lengthy career, really solid career as a wide receiver. The funny part is, I thought he would have a better career as a returner in the NFL. Actually, his career as a wide receiver is what shined. So kudos to him on that. I don't understand the culture. I mean, at Ohio State, but we've had many wide receiver coaches It's not just one guy, obviously. I mean, like our late defensive line success, you can look at Larry Johnson and say, yeah, that guy's been amazing. But we've had many wide receiver coaches from all different backgrounds and different kinds of offenses for that matter. And every wide receiver, most of our wide receivers, when they get to the NFL, they at least stay a little while.
They do. That's one of the bright spots about this unit. So those of you that are new to the draft, haven't checked out the past 2 weeks, if you haven't checked those videos out or shows out on the audio podcast platforms, go check those out. We did running backs last week. 2 weeks ago on a Friday, we did quarterbacks. We'll go in following weeks, do D linemen, linebackers, and DB. So we're not going to eliminate the defensive side of the ball. That has been a successful unit as well. But the draft goes like this. Whoever the guest is, this week is Cory, will get the first pick. It will be a snake draft. So Cory will get the first pick. I'll get the second pick. And the first pick of the second round will be me. And then Cory again. First pick of the third round will be Cory. And then myself at the end. We can both pick the same player. That's the fourth pick because we will both say who our next pick will be. Remember, only 20 years. Going back to the year 2002, that magical season, 14-0, as the Buckeyes upset the heavily favored Miami Hurricanes there in the 03 Fiesta Bowl. Cory, the first pick in this draft, who are you going with?
Mike Thomas.
Wow. Why Michael Thomas?
I think he can play in any era. I think he has the size and length of a Mike Jenkins, but he also has deceptive speed. I think back to that 79-yard slant he took to the house against Michigan State where nobody could catch him. Kind of shocked me. I thought, oh, there's no way nobody's catching. Nobody could catch him. He had a long stride, great hands, exceptional route running. He's an alpha dog. On top of that, he's the leader in the locker room. Mike Thomas all the way. Kudos to Urban Meyer, Zach Smith for getting that guy, whipping him into shape, and making him one of the greatest Ohio State receivers ever. And he was extremely underutilized in 2015, unfortunately. But on my offense, he will not be. He'll be a go-to guy.
So imagine if he was, and you kind of hinted at it a little bit, but let's say he was under a different offense, more of Big 12, air raid, that era there.
Oh, you'd have 115 catches. It'd be ridiculous.
If Lane Kiffin got a hold of him, Mike Leach, the Baylor Bears a few years ago when they were just doing things like crazy.
Lincoln Riley.
It would be insane. It'd literally be insane. The amount of talent that he had, and then just the way that the offense flowed at that time. He's one of those guys that, like you said, if you put him in a different offense, we're seeing in college what he has done at New Orleans. And so that one maybe shocked me a little bit because I didn't think you were going to go with the guy that played recently, but it's your pick. It's what you got.
Imagine him with a Ryan Day offense and Justin Fields or Dwayne Haskins throwing the ball.
Oh, dude.
Or CJ Stroud,
It's game over. It is game over.
Forget it. Yeah.
We are here with Cory Thompson of the Scarlet and Gray Empire on the YouTube. This is Locked on Buckeyes. We are continuing our draft of the best Ohio State wide receivers over the past 20 years, kind of celebrating Ohio State's phenomenal 20-year run, and which is not over, might I add. We're not done just yet, but also kind of celebrating the 02 National Championship season. Cory with the first pick picked Michael Thomas. Kind of shocked me a little bit. I thought he was going to go a little bit older, but with pick number 2 in the first round, and then I'll also go right after that with the first pick of the second round, since this is a snake draft. I will also say, Cory, I had Michael Thomas written down on my paper twice. So as much as that shocked me, I accidentally wrote his name down twice. So therefore, maybe that first pick does make a whole lot of sense. Number 2, I'm going with a guy that just got drafted by the New York Jets. And I was not thinking about going recent with the player, because I do think that we can't get caught up in what's happened lately. But Garrett Wilson is just too good to pass up on.
I hear you.
His speed, his agility, his ability, his amazing route running, his ability to get in and out of bricks quickly, and even the fact that he can even go up and get the ball. And that catch against Clemson, that still marvels me. That is still one of those catches where I'm sitting here, and I'm like, man, how did he do that? How did he go up, keep going up, got hit by the defender, and still was able to keep his body control and still catch the ball and come down with it? Garrett Wilson is the pick for me. Now, as I write this down, Cory, I'm going to go ahead and make my next pick here. The next pick, and this is someone that I do believe, if he played today,
oh boy,
and not in the grainy videos that I just recently watched on YouTube.
I already know who you're going to go with.
To kind of refresh my memory. There was a couple of guys that could either go with one guy that played on the national championship team or another guy that you said won a Super Bowl in the NFL. I'm going Santonio Holmes.
I knew it.
He is amazing.
Mhm.
I kind of forgot about how easy it was for him to get open. And in every video and every time I watch him play, the amount of separation he gets between him and the defender, and simply once the ball is in the air or even mid-route, that's not normal. That's absolutely not normal. Went on, had a good NFL career, got himself a ring, got him some trophies. Garrett Wilson, Santonio Holmes. I wasn't planning on going with Holmes that early or Wilson, but it kind of made sense. I'm not going to let you go ahead and take Mike Thomas and then just let you steal the whole draft. I got to kind of do something to keep this thing close.
I think you're doing fine, man. You can't go wrong with those guys. You're not exactly hurting for wide receivers right now. By the way, a little factoid: Santonio Holmes played on the Jets in the NFL as well. So,
you're right.
Towards the end of his career, yeah,
you are right.
So you getting basically two Jets, man. Did you ever think you'd go to the New York Jets for any kind of a position?
No. Not also talk about Curtis Martin, maybe, or Lavernius Coles. That'd be about it. I wouldn't even go for Chad Pennington. I would take a hard pass on that, and Vinny Testaverde. Sorry, hard pass.
Well, Testaverde was 56 years old by the time he played with the Jets. But Curtis Martin for sure. No, he's a Hall of Famer. That dude's legitimate. If I had to go with another wide receiver, obviously this is a tough one because Mike Thomas to me was a clear cut number one, and after that, there's a lot of skills you can look at that this guy benefits me here, but this guy benefits me there. I want a deep ball threat because that's not Mike Thomas's game. I want a deep ball threat. Do I go with arguably the greatest deep ball threat in possibly college football history in Devin Smith? Or do I go with a guy who can not only is a deep ball threat, but can literally do a million other things for you in Ted Ginn? And I think I'm going to have to go with Ted Ginn because he's one of the most explosive playmakers I've ever seen in my life.
Ooh. So I was a toss-up for me to try to decide if it was going to be Ted Ginn or Devin Smith. I talked about Smith's stats a little bit off air. And for those of you guys that kind of remember Devin Smith, but maybe forget how lethal he was as a receiver, the 2014 National Championship season under Urban Meyer. I'm not going to go to the advanced stats, just the simple stuff that everybody can understand. 33 catches, 931 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns. Talk about explosion, ridiculous. Being able to get open. That's what he could do. And Devin Smith, to me, is, I think, kind of underrated because of what came after him. But if you just take that snapshot of that season and say, can this guy fit in a Tressel offense? Can he fit in Urban Meyer or Ryan Day? You would say yes. And you're going to quickly find ways to get him the ball. No questions asked. But Ted Ginn Jr., dude, some people say that the Buckeyes may have beat Florida in the national championship if he doesn't get hurt. My opinion, I'm not going to share it right now about that, but the game definitely was a lot different with him not on the field.
Oh, 100%. He took the top off the defense. The passing game became a lot more difficult without him on the field. Look, Ted Ginn, the guy you can run reverses with. You can do a lot of different things. You imagine Ted Ginn and Urban Meyer run offense? I mean, a lot of different things you could do with him. I mean, Tressel was a little bit backwoods in his offense. He started to catch up late in his career, but Urban Meyer was the innovator of that, that spread offense. And at the time, I think guys like Ted Ginn would have strongly benefited from that. And not to mention, I think Ted Ginn would have benefited from coaching a Zach Smith or Brian Hartline as a wide receiver. But that being said, I think he's a guy who just, again, I can make him go deep. I can run reverses with him. I can just run him out of the backfield. I can do whatever. He can be a wildcat quarterback. I can do a lot of different things with him. And he also complements Michael Thomas's skill set very well. So that's what. So I guess I'll go as a snake round and go again, right?
Correct. Let me recap really quickly before you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're two rounds down in our draft of the best wide receivers at Ohio State over the past 20 years. First pick was Cory. He picked Michael Thomas. I got the second pick. I went with Garrett Wilson. First pick of the second round in the snake draft, I went with Santonio Holmes. Cory, just after me, picked Ted Ginn Jr. With the first pick of the third round, Cory goes once again. Cory, the floor is yours.
Okay, I got my two outside receivers, right? I got to get a slot guy now.
I like the strategy. I like this.
No, I got to cover the field. So I got a deep threat. I got an amazing route runner in Mike Thomas, sure hands. Now I need a guy who can work the middle of the field. This is going to surprise people a little bit, but I think the best slot receiver I've seen in Ohio State history is Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Wow. So talk about Cory doing something that I was not expecting him with the strategy. I'm thinking, okay, it's the NFL draft, the regular draft. Take the top 3 guys on our board. No, Cory's going with a little strategy, going with someone that is an early player to win the Biletnikoff Award this year. Literally this year, the watch list just came out, and he is on there. No surprise. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Cory, if I remember correctly, he had 95 catches last year.
He did.
Over 1,600 receiving yards.
Ridiculous.
And I want to say 16 touchdowns. In the 2 of his best games, he had 15 catches, over 240 receiving yards. And that was when the number 1 option was not on the field, but you still had Chris Olave in there against Nebraska. But he just came out there, and once he got his feet wet and figured out how to play college football, nobody could stop him.
Yeah, I mean, he played the slot a lot last year. He was kind of overlooked early on in the year. I remember hearing stories about friends who hung out with his father during the Oregon game, screaming, "My son is wide open," and CJ wasn't hitting him. Not knocking CJ, it was early in the year, and I get CJ had to develop, but towards the end of the year, it didn't matter where you line Jackson up; he was just going to succeed. I think what's impressive to me is how he, in short spaces, can get totally open and create space. No linebackers and safeties can't stick with him. Nickelbacks can't stick with him. He can work anywhere on the field. Now, granted, he's going to be a boundary guy this year. I get it. I think he's not going to be slot. I totally respect that. But 2020-21 season where Jackson was a slot guy, I've never seen the slot played that well. My second choice there would have been Anthony Gonzalez, but I got to go with Jackson. I just think he's a better player.
Cory. I like how you think. The strategy kind of threw me off because I was not expecting you to go this route. However, it absolutely makes sense. But you put me in a tough spot because there are certain players I want to go with right now. I'm going to lay them out there. A few of the guys that are still on my list that are up for the running. I do a little verbal tap dancing, some say, to kind of gather my thoughts at this time. And so at the last pick of our draft, Olave is available. Paris Campbell's available. Curtis Samuel is. I don't know how much as a receiver.
You can count him.
I will. Devin Smith's available. Michael Jenkins is available. Hartline, no. Trubisky, no. Johnny Dixon, no. DeVere Posey, as good as he was, not up for the running in this one.
I really wish he played with like a Haskins or somebody. I mean, not to knock Braxton Miller, but Braxton freshman year didn't have it as a passer, obviously. So Posey with a CJ Stroud or Fields or Haskins, my goodness.
And some more on my no list. I do this every single week. Dane Seisenbacher, I loved him. I can't put him here. Even though he did have 948 receiving yards one year, I can't put him here. Ray Small, I know his cousin, so I kind of had to put
unrealized potential with Ray Small, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of there. Then Chris Gamble played both ways.
Love Gamble.
Not the best receiver.
Oh, if you're talking about corners, I'm thinking of putting him in my corner. So
exactly. So Olave, Campbell, Samuel, Smith, and Michael Jenkins are still up in the running for me, and I don't have to waste any more time. And I'm not. This is weird because I really want to go with Michael Jenkins here. But with the way that Paris Campbell played, I believe it was during that 2018 season, and the way that he could just get open and he could catch the ball, he was a consistent, sure-handed guy. The 90 catches, 1,063 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns. I didn't think Michael Jenkins was going to be left off the board. But when you mentioned some strategy there. Garrett Wilson can't play outside or inside. Santonio Holmes, I do believe, can't play outside or inside. Give me Paris Campbell. And he's probably one of my more loved or more favorite Buckeye receivers during this time span because he was just so much fun to watch. And during a time when everybody was getting the ball and Haskins was just like, hey, I'm going to throw the rock to you, Campbell was the guy. And, dude, he was a beast.
Oh, Campbell is one of my all-time favorite players. I'll never forget the 78-yarder he had against Michigan with a little pop pass and just took it and just out boat raced everybody. Guy you didn't mention, I got to mention that he just got a huge extension with Washington, T-Mac.
Yes.
Terry McLaurin. He had granted didn't have the greatest career with Ohio State, but his senior season was excellent. When he finally, look, I'm not trying to knock JT. You got to preface everything, but when he finally got that pro-style quarterback, right? he got to his talents got to shine a little bit. I mean, I like how Zach Smith put it was Johnny Dixon, Paris Campbell, and Terry McLaurin. It was like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would be remiss if he wasn't on the list somewhere.
So Cory, as we wrap up this show, you mentioned a little bit ago that you're thinking either in Jigba or Anthony Gonzalez. Would Gonzalez have been, I'm going to say assume that no matter who it is, like position-wise, big board-wise, you would have gone with Anthony Gonzalez as your next pick?
No, I would have gone for a backup to Mike Thomas, which would have been Michael Jenkins.
Okay.
Would have been my process on that. Although I hate passing up guys like T-Mac, but Jenkins to me had a better Buckeye career than T-Mac, so I had to go with him. I love what we have right now. You know who I really want to take, but he has to prove it on the field first, is Marvin Harrison. I think he's going to go. I'm going to hot take right now on your show. Marvin Harrison, by the time he's done being a Buckeye, will be the greatest Buckeye receiver of all time.
Cory, we've seen his dad do phenomenal things in the NFL.
You definitely saw it. Indianapolis, yes. You definitely saw it.
Yes, won a Super Bowl. If he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
He should be. He's one of the greatest ever.
If you guys want to go back and watch a phenomenal comeback in the NFL, go back and watch the Buccaneers and Colts game from the early 2000s. Grainy video, I understand.
Exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
But Marvin Harrison, that Monday Night Football game, I went to sleep, and this game went into overtime. The Colts come back. I believe they were down 21 in the fourth quarter. And I remember Marvin Harrison, not Junior, but his dad, and Peyton Manning doing some phenomenal things to quickly – this is a phenomenal Buccaneers defense – to quickly – overcome that deficit and to ultimately win
25 points or something like that. It was
something stupid,
ridiculous.
Man.
Yeah.
Like something absolutely stupid. And Peyton Manning was
it was like in a quarter and a half they did it. It was just like it was ridiculous. I mean, it was I was watching the game going, they can't stop Marvin. They just can't stop him. It doesn't matter what they do. And Marvin was going against some really great secondaries back then. Look, I look at it this way. I just saw a video. I don't know if you saw the video. Marvin Harrison Jr. dunking the basketball.
No.
Dude, he's 6'3", okay? He's 6'3". Yeah. You've watched plenty of basketball in your lifetime. 6'3" dunker, probably gets his hand just above the rim. You know, he's up there. He could dunk, but Harrison's head was almost above the rim.
Cory, he's 6'3", 205.
That's ridiculous. I was like, can Holtman sign him up to be the point guard? My goodness. I mean, I could not believe what I saw. I texted my buddy David.
I'm going to make a comment here. Basketball fans might hate this, but Holtman doesn't want that explosion on the basketball court.
It seems like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does.
It's like, hey, I don't want no flashy stuff. Bounce passes. Let's go now. It's fundamentals. You know? But no, I saw that. I cannot believe that the athlete Harrison is a better athlete than his dad, and his dad was a great athlete. But this kid is. You hear the term Calvin Johnson in practice sometimes. It's like, okay, he may outshine Jackson this year. That's how good he's going to be, I think. And we got 2 more years of him, which is unbelievable to me. 2 more years of him. He's going to have Stroud and then hopefully McCord or Brown, are 2 also talented guys. He'll be the number 1 next year after this year. He's a top 10 pick. I just can't. I can't believe what an athlete he is. Plus, he's an exceptional route runner. He's a hard worker, great hands, has an NFL body already. The sky's the limit for him. I swear by the time he's done, you're going to be like, listen, I love Olave. I love Wilson. I love Chris Carter, Terry Glenn, David Boston. I can go down a list. Marvin's got him beat.
Yeah. My next pick would have also been Michael Jenkins. And this goes for 2 reasons. Not just because of his career at Ohio State, but it's also kind of like pulling at when I fell in love with the Buckeyes was during that Tressel year. Like I was already trickling into being a Buckeye fan, but when I could say my fandom really went to the deep end was during that 02 year.
So you jumped on the bandwagon.
Dude, man, he was so good. And I had never really followed guys from college to the NFL until that year. Yeah, I'm an Indiana guy. Drew Brees played for Purdue, Rose Bowl. I didn't really care. Like I watched the draft. I went to see where he was going to go in the draft, but I didn't think to care to follow Drew Brees when he got into the NFL and all the other guys like that. Antoine Randall was after.
You got to wonder if the Chargers ever regret trading Drew Brees or letting him go. I know they had Phillip Rivers and they drafted Phillip for that purpose because Drew had the torn rotator cuff, I think, at the time, and they didn't know if he was going to ever play at a level again. But then you see what he did in New Orleans, and you're like, dang it.
Yeah, but they never really got Rivers the best stuff that he needed. They never really put
Yeah, and I love Rivers. Don't get me wrong. I think he has the weirdest throwing motion I've ever seen in my
Yes.
life, but it worked for him. And I don't know how his elbow held out that long. It's like, oh, gosh, all the pressure's on your elbow on that one. But I just wonder if the Chargers are like, well, thank God Rivers wasn't terrible and he's borderline Hall of Fame because Brees is like one of the greatest ever. So,
Yeah, Cory, this has been fun.
oh yeah,
We could keep going forever. We could
absolutely.
talk about the success. We
I
could
want
talk
to go on
about
the next position. Let's go offensive line. Let's do it now.
offensive line. Wow. So Cory's going to say all the big guys up front who people can't really understand what they're doing. Let's draft them. I wasn't planning on doing offensive line or tight ends, just to tell you.
No worries.
It was
Tight end's impossible. Don't even bother with it. At Ohio State, tight end's just it's an extra offensive lineman.
Give me Marcus Ball. Give me Marcus.
No kidding.
I'm out of here, guys. I had to have a little fun. Cory, this has been fun. I will try to get you one again with the defensive players. We'll discuss that later on a later date. But if you could, Cory,
I call dibs on secondary.
Easy. I'll put you down. I'll give you the date for that as well.
Awesome.
If you could, Cory, let everyone know where they can follow you on Twitter and then where they can catch the Scarlet and Great Empire as well.
On Twitter, it's at Scarlet Great CT, one word, and on YouTube, the Ohio State football with Scarlet and Great right on YouTube. Go do a search, Scarlet and Great. You'll find us quickly.
And guys, you can follow me on Twitter at JSteven07. 3 positions down in our draft, 3 more to go. You've already heard, literally, due to his request, who's going to be on for the DBs. We got to figure out D-line, a guest for D-line, and a guest for the linebackers. And at the end, I might do a fun recap show to kind of just see how I stacked up against the guest and who has the better depth chart. I think that'll be a fun little exercise for us as well. Before this Friday show, it's a Feel Good Friday. Have fun. Enjoy the weather. I say it all the time, but enjoy it while it's here. Cold weather, rainy weather, windy weather will be here before we know it. And also, that game against Notre Dame will be here before we know it as well. I'm out of here. Cory's out of here, guys. Have a great day.